was that? A deer? What happens if we, like... Can we? Huh, they're running. When we have a... We can't crouch. When we have a... crossbow, or a bow, or any long range, then we might be able to hunt that. Reminds me of Skyrim. Only arrow. How about we sleep over here tonight? Let's not, you know, pick stuff up from the herbalist. We'll have a talk first. Why isn't she sleeping? I'm not gonna comment. What have we got here? Nothing? We'll talk to her then.
Yes?
Tell me something about yourself. What's your story?
A sad one. Do you know the Temple of Melitele in Alanda?
Do I know it? Can't remember how many times I've been there, how many times Mother Neneka stitched me up.
We must have missed each other. I started to become a healer under Mother Neneka. I was but 18 when they took me in. An age at which teachings interest one far less than love. There was a boy, Goslav. He'd bare his chest to work. The novices couldn't keep their eyes off him, tripped over their own feet, dropped things. I left the temple for him. We passed a lovely summer together, and then he left. Neneke refused to take me back. My parents uttered not a word, gave me a travel cloak and a small coin pouch. I struggled long to find a place where I'd feel safe, needed, until I finally arrived here. End of story.
Griffin do that to her?
Delina. Yes. Attacked her at night. She was walking in the woods.
At night? Through the woods? In wartime?
Meeting a boy. The young, you know, do foolish things for love. Very
Wounds are
foolish.
healing, but she will die. Blood's pooling in her skull. Nothing my bruise can do to help.
Could try to help her with one of my potions. Swallow can heal internal hemorrhages.
But?
Witcher's potions aren't for humans.
She'll die as it is.
Yes. A peaceful death soothed by your concoctions. If I give her Swallow and something goes wrong, the whole village will hear her screams.
I understand. Do as you will.
Listen, ever heard of a woman named Claire? Lived around here?
Heard of her? A mild way to put it. Claire was a friend. The only person dear to me in all of White Orchard. Until her husband, Volker, quarreled with the lord of the manor. He then gathered the family, moved out into the woods to start a new settlement. The lord and his retinue rode there to convince them to return. They were to be civil. No forcing, no bloodshed. But you saw. Word is Claire said something about the lord's son, Florian. Something that made the lord furious. But who knows the truth?
Lots of misfortune for such a small village.
'Tis so in every village. Even the smallest. You need only ask. But let's not end on a teary note. Here, a bit of solace.
Ground, solace, salt powder. Ah, that's more like it. Ooh, hellebore petals. Cortinarius. Thank you kindly. Now, do I need to administer the swallow? No, you've taken it. You mean the swallow potion, right?
Yes?
I got a potion for Lena.
Got a potion for Lena. Swallow.
First sign of spring. Symbol of rebirth. Fitting as names go.
We'll see. Like I said, Could harm her. Deeply. Works on me immediately, but I have a faster metabolism. Effects won't appear in her case for a few days.
Why'd you choose this in the end?
Decided it was better than doing nothing.
I like you, Witcher. Here. A small gift. For giving a damn.
Thank you. I like you too. So what did I get? Yeah, level 3. So what did I get? 350 experience points, 50 crowns. Ooh, venom extract, that's new. Cursed oil. Of sweat and blood. Of sweat and blood. A veil hangs between the world men see and the one they cannot. This is true, very true. This veil blocks the dead from the view of the living, and the living from the view of the dead. Not necessarily the dead, but others. Sub-mages can break through this veil and communicate with the dead, or else summon them to the world of the sun for short periods of time. This is the art known as necromancy. I see, this is where this is going. The dead can also break through the veil and enter the world of the living on their own. Yet, unlike the necromancers, in doing so they are not driven by reason and will, but by a thoughtless, irrational need. This need arises from powerful emotions such as regret, longing, or wrath. Very often these emotions gain their power by being invested in material object by the dead individual, while he or she still knew life. The objects most frequently so endowed, wedding rings, favorite toys, or the instrument used for the crime which sent the returned individual to the other world in the first place. I wouldn't say the dead, but more like lingering spirit energy, thought forms, and such. Let's continue. Night Wraith decoction, Noon Wraith decoction, Bestiary entry added 9 Wraith, and Plague Maidens. Let's check it out. Look, it's nightfall, it's 9 PM. I am going to have a rest in this house, if you don't mind. I'm not gonna steal anything from here. Ooh, what's that? Lighting. Any books to read? We'll read. We'll just drop by here. Sit. Wish I could sit. That's the only thing lacking here. Sitting down. We can meditate, right? But Night Wraiths. Night Wraiths. Vulnerable against moon dust, spectre oil, and Urdan. Night Wraiths. Scary. Night Wraiths. Night Wraiths exude this immense sadness, this helpless wraith. I feed them, same as anyone, but most of all, I feel sorry for them. Aelin Altspar, Elven Trobairit. Compared to other creatures of the night, katakans, nekurats, and werewolves, for example, night wraiths and their rarer cousin, dusk wraiths, might not seem all that dangerous. After all, one might ask, how much harm could a pale, withered woman in a tattered dress do? The answer? Quite a bit. Instead of finding this out the hard way, avoid crossing fields and meadows at night at all cost. Like noon wraiths, night wraiths are only found in rural areas. Travelers fall victim to them, most of them, but if legends are to be believed, they also sneak into huts at times and murder peasants in their sleep. When they attack, night wraiths remain immaterial for most of the time, meaning physical blows pass right through them. They only take on more tangible form for the brief moments in which they strike, block, counter-strike. When weakened, they will create several projections of themselves which cannot attack directly, but act as transmitters of sorts through which the night wraiths can sap her victims' vital energy. Night wraiths can turn immaterial and are at such times very difficult to wound. In order to force one to take on corporeal form, trap it with a Yrden sign, or hit it with a blast of moon dust bomb. Yrden. Do not believe the old wife tales, and think yourself completely safe from night wraiths during the day. They appear under the light of the sun as well, but are much weaker than after dusk. Plague Maidens, Spectre and Yrden. Poppy Extract. Plague Maidens. Patients seem to have hallucinations of a woman covered in scabs and boils, with rats scurrying about all around her. These ravings subsided after an administration of henbane and poppy extract. Joachim von Gratz notes. Wilmerius Hospital in Novigrad. When plague ravages a region, a spirit will sometimes walk its lands. A ghost resembling an ill woman whose flesh rots off her bones and in whose wake crawls a cavalcade of rats. No one knows whether this spirit brings the pox with her or is merely drawn to it like a moth to a light. Yet it is certain that she delights in dealing pain and suffering, in hearing the howling and moaning of men. Many have called into question the very existence of plague maidens, or pestae, as they are sometimes called. Only 2 sightings of such a creature have ever been recorded, both during times of raging epidemic. As the name Plague Maiden suggests, these wraiths take the appearance of females, though exactly why that is remains a mystery. Some speculate they, like other such specters, arise from the powerful emotional charge associated with certain circumstances of death, such as death preceded by long and particularly painful illness. Not much is known about how to fight a plague maiden, though one can assume they possess many traits in common with other phantoms and wraiths. They undoubtedly pose a great danger, though a witcher's immunities should at least prevent him from catching the contagious illness they carry. Wraiths, plain wraiths. Against moon dust, Spectre, Yrden, and Quan. Oh, that's new. Finish all your business before you die. Bid your loved ones farewell. Write your will. Apologize to those you've wronged. Otherwise, you'll never truly leave this world. Paul Vicar, peasant healer, advice to a dying man. Clerics and scholars are forever debating whether spirits do in fact journey to another world after death, one where eternal joy or suffering awaits. Both groups agree, however, on what happens to spirits who, for one reason or another, remain in our world after their body breathes its last. They transform into wraiths to hear their mournful howls. One can surmise this is not a fate to be envied. someone trapped. And also the time is different. There was once a story where a female, a wife, was saying goodbye to his lovely and wonderful, handsome husband into the war, which he never returned. Their love was so strong, in fact, that she just kept sitting there and waiting until her husband would come back into the countryside cottage, and she was just waiting there. That house, for a couple of years or decades, was haunted. Everyone that came in or lived there would eventually be kicked out or, terrified, until someone came and told her and let her go forth in peace. She didn't actually realize that she was haunting the place for decades. It felt like temporary for her. Right, 9:30. Let's have our rest. Whoop, that's not resting. Let's have a chat.
Yes?
Got any herbs you're willing to sell?
I'm sure I can find something.
Things are used for papers, burn papers. And when you arrange to meet, you fucking show up. I did, risking my life and the entire blasted operations, and ended up standing there with my plowing cock in my hands, waiting for nothing. I thought the Nilfgaardian army was better organized than that, but you, illegible. Tell that blessed Lord General of yours that me and my companions don't hold grudges, so we won't break off negotiations. But since our old plans gone tits up, this time we'll choose the time and place for the next meeting. Meditate until morning. Alcahest.